My name is Ethan Carter, 25 years old, a freelance computer repair guy in Portland who barely made enough to keep the lights on. My life was unremarkable: gray walls, cheap noodles for dinner, and a second-hand laptop humming through the night while I hustled online jobs. But underneath that ordinary existence, there was a secret I'd buried since high school. The kind of secret I didn't dare speak aloud. Late at night, when no one was around, I used to try on my cousin's forgotten skirts or spritz myself with my mom's perfume, just to feel that strange wave of calm wash over me. I told myself it was nothing, just curiosity. But the truth was, I liked the reflection I saw, even if I wasn't ready to admit it. I thought I had outgrown those urges, boxed them up like old photos. Until the day Ms. Seraphine Vale walked into my life. It started innocently. A job request from a high-paying client on a freelancing site. Setting up secure home networks. Confidential project. Generous compensation. The rate was triple what I usually earned. I couldn't say no. Her estate was nothing like I'd ever seen. A sprawling mansion on the edge of Forest Park, shrouded in ivy and silence, like something out of a Gothic novel. When the iron gates creaked open, my old Honda Civic looked laughably out of place on the winding driveway. The door opened before I even knocked. There she stood. Seraphine Vale, early 50s, tall, statuesque, with raven black hair pulled back into a flawless bun. Her presence was so commanding that I nearly dropped my toolkit. "You must be Ethan," she said, her voice smooth as glass. Not a question, an observation. She led me inside. The air smelled faintly of roses and expensive wine. Every room was a gallery: oil paintings, velvet curtains, marble floors polished enough to see your reflection. I felt like an intruder. While I installed her network system, I could feel her eyes on me. Watching. Studying. When I finally finished, she spoke again. "You have delicate hands," she said softly. "Strange for a man." I chuckled awkwardly, unsure how to respond. Then she leaned back in her chair, eyes glinting. "You remind me of someone. My daughter, Isabella. She passed away 3 years ago." I froze. "I'm sorry to hear that." "She was elegance itself," Seraphine continued, her tone icy, controlled. "But fate can be cruel. And yet, here you are." Before I could react, she slid an envelope across the desk. Inside, $600 in crisp bills. Far more than I'd earned in a week. "For your time today," she said. Then her lips curved into the faintest smile. "And a proposition." The words hung in the air. "A proposition?" I asked carefully. "I need someone who can represent me in certain circles," she said, folding her hands. "A daughter. One I can shape. One who will carry herself with grace and poise. Someone like you." I thought I misheard. "You want me to pretend to be your daughter?" "I don't want you to pretend, Ethan," she corrected. "I want to make you my daughter. Completely." I stared at her, heat rushing to my face. Was she serious? This had to be a joke, a test. But her expression never faltered. "You'll be compensated generously," she added, her tone silky but firm. "More than you've ever imagined." I should have laughed, walked away, told her she was insane. But instead, my eyes fell back to that thick envelope of cash. My rent was overdue. My fridge was empty. My laptop was dying. And somewhere, deep down, another thought whispered, what would it feel like? To step into silken lace, to be molded into something new, someone beautiful? That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling of my apartment. My girlfriend, Samantha, slept soundly beside me, unaware that her boyfriend's life had just cracked open. I told myself I wouldn't go back. That it was too dangerous, too bizarre. But 2 days later, my phone buzzed with a text from Seraphine. "Come tomorrow. There's a room waiting for you." And against all reason, I replied, "Yes." When I arrived again, she led me not to her study, but to a wing of the house I hadn't seen before. She opened a door, and I stopped in my tracks. It was a boutique showroom. Rows of dresses in satin and velvet. Shelves lined with heels, purses, jewelry. A vanity glittering with makeup brushes and powders. On the wall hung a massive portrait of Isabella, her late daughter. Blonde, elegant, her eyes alive even in paint. "You will not replace her," Seraphine whispered behind me. "But you will honor her." And before I could think twice, I heard myself say the words that sealed my fate. "I want to try." The room felt like a trap and a dream at the same time. The polished mirrors, the gowns gleaming under soft spotlights, the faint scent of rosewater, it was intoxicating. I stood frozen, my tool bag hanging awkwardly at my side, while Seraphine Vale glided across the room like a queen surveying her throne. "Clothes are power," she said, brushing her fingers over the sleeve of a velvet dress. "They can erase who you were, and create who you are meant to be." I swallowed hard. "I'm not sure I can pull this off." "You don't need to be sure," she replied, her eyes narrowing with quiet authority. "You only need to obey." Her words lodged themselves in my chest. I should have run. But instead, I stayed. She handed me a garment bag. "Start here," she said. Inside was a soft ivory blouse and a fitted skirt, simple but impossibly elegant. My hands trembled as I stepped behind the dressing screen. Every sound, the rustle of fabric, the click of the hanger, felt amplified. Peeling off my hoodie and jeans felt like shedding skin. Sliding into the blouse, I shivered at the smoothness against my body. The skirt clung tightly to my hips, unfamiliar but strangely right. When I finally stepped out, Seraphine's gaze swept over me with clinical precision. "Turn," she commanded. I obeyed. "Better than I expected," she murmured. "But incomplete." She led me to the vanity, where rows of makeup brushes waited like surgical tools. She didn't ask permission. She lifted a brush, dipped it into powder, and began tracing color onto my face. Her touch was steady, almost reverent. A swipe of foundation. A flick of eyeliner. The faint brush of blush across my cheek. "Look," she said, angling the mirror. I gasped. The reflection staring back at me wasn't Ethan. It was someone softer, unfamiliar, beautiful in a way that made my chest ache. "Who is she?" I whispered before I could stop myself. Seraphine's lips curved into a small smile. "Her name is ALLLLLLLLLLL." "Illara?" I repeated, the word foreign on my tongue. "Yes," Seraphine said. "Isabella is gone. But Illara will live. And she will belong to me." She slipped a pair of nude heels onto the floor in front of me. "Walk," she ordered. The first step was clumsy, my ankle wobbling, but the sharp click of the heel against the marble floor sent a shiver up my spine. With each step, I felt the strange power she had promised. Exposed, vulnerable, yet untouchably strong. Seraphine nodded, satisfied. "You are already beginning." That night, I went home with lipstick still faintly staining my lips. I scrubbed it off in the bathroom sink before Samantha could notice. She was waiting on the couch, arms crossed, scrolling her phone. "Late again," she muttered. "Big client," I lied, forcing a smile. Samantha narrowed her eyes. "You've been distant. Secretive. Are you hiding something from me?" My throat went dry. The image of Illara in the mirror burned behind my eyelids. "No," I said quickly. "Just tired." She sighed, clearly unconvinced, and went back to her phone. But I could feel her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking. Over the next week, I returned to Seraphine's mansion again and again. Each time, the outfits became more daring, the makeup heavier, the lessons stricter. Posture training. Speech exercises to soften my voice. Hours spent practicing how to sit, how to smile, how to breathe as Illara. Seraphine was relentless, but she was also approving. And every rare smile she gave me filled a hole I hadn't realized was inside me. But with each visit, it became harder to separate the two worlds. Ethan was slipping away. Illara was growing stronger. And Seraphine knew it. One evening, as she adjusted a pearl necklace around my throat, she leaned close and whispered, "You see now, don't you? The boy you were was an illusion. This is who you were meant to be." Her words sent a chill down my spine. Because a part of me feared she was right. That night, I stood in front of the mirror again, dressed in a sapphire gown Seraphine had chosen. I barely recognized myself. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Samantha. "I know you're lying. Meet me tomorrow, or we're done." My heart hammered. For the first time, I realized that the double life I had built couldn't last much longer. And if Samantha discovered the truth, everything would collapse. The next morning, I could barely focus at work. Samantha's text echoed in my head like a warning siren. "I know you're lying. Meet me tomorrow, or we're done." I stared at the screen until my eyes blurred. She wasn't bluffing. Samantha was sharp, too sharp. If she didn't already know the truth, she was circling dangerously close. That night, I told Seraphine I needed to leave early. Her lips tightened. "Leave? When you're only just beginning?" "It's important," I said, avoiding her gaze. "My girlfriend's suspicious." "Girlfriend," she repeated, her voice cool and clipped. How quaint. I flinched. She deserves answers. Seraphine studied me for a long, unbearable moment. Then she stepped closer, her manicured hand brushing the side of my face. "Answers? Or more lies?" I swallowed hard. Because I didn't know the difference anymore. The cafe we met at was noisy, filled with clattering cups and murmured conversations, but Samantha's gaze cut through everything. "You've been sneaking around, Ethan," she said, folding her arms. "Coming home late. Disappearing on weekends. Don't insult me by saying it's just work." I shifted uncomfortably in my chair. She was wearing the earrings I bought her for our anniversary. I wanted to reach across the table, hold her hand, tell her everything. But how could I? "I'm just stressed," I muttered weakly. Her eyes narrowed. "You smell like perfume sometimes." "Not mine. Expensive. Do you think I wouldn't notice?" My heart lurched. Seraphine's rosewater. Samantha leaned closer. "So tell me, Ethan. Who is she?" That night, I confessed my fears to Seraphine. "She's going to find out," I said, pacing her study. "She already suspects." Seraphine sipped her wine calmly. "Then let her suspect." "You don't understand," I snapped. "If she leaves me..." "Then she leaves," Seraphine interrupted coldly. "Do you think Illara needs Samantha's approval?" "Illara doesn't belong to her. She belongs to me." Her words cut deep. And worse, they stirred something I couldn't name. Because when she said Illara belongs to me, part of me felt, claimed. A week later, Seraphine escalated everything. "There's a charity luncheon," she told me as she laid out a navy dress with pearl buttons. "You'll attend as my daughter." My stomach dropped. "In public? With people who can see me?" "Yes." Her tone left no room for argument. I wanted to refuse, but when she clasped the pearls around my neck, I saw the steel in her eyes. This wasn't optional. The luncheon was held in a gilded ballroom downtown. As Seraphine led me inside, whispers rippled through the crowd. "Who's that with her?" I heard someone murmur. "Illara Vale," Seraphine announced smoothly to a cluster of businessmen. "My daughter." My knees shook, but I smiled. And to my shock, they believed it. Compliments flowed, "So elegant, such poise, she's the image of you, Seraphine." For the first time, I wasn't Ethan fumbling through lies. I was Illara, flawless and admired. The thrill was dizzying. That night, back in my dingy apartment, Samantha cornered me. "You weren't at work today," she said flatly. My blood froze. "What do you mean?" "I called your office," she snapped. "They said you haven't been there in weeks." "So where have you been, Ethan? Who have you been?" She shoved her phone in my face. On the screen was a blurry photo taken from across the ballroom, me in the navy dress, pearls glinting, standing beside Seraphine. My stomach dropped. She knew. Samantha's phone trembled in her hand as she shoved the photo closer. My reflection stared back at me, hair curled, lips painted, pearls shining under ballroom light. There was no denying it. "That's you," she said, her voice cracking between anger and disbelief. "Don't tell me it's Photoshop. Don't tell me it's some stupid prank. That's you." My throat tightened. "Sam, I can explain." "Explain?" she snapped, eyes blazing. "Explain how my boyfriend is dressing up in gowns and letting some rich stranger parade him around as her daughter?" Her words hit like a slap. I wanted to speak, to tell her it wasn't just Seraphine's game, that when I looked in the mirror as ALLLLLLLLLL, something inside me clicked. But the words tangled in my chest. Instead, I whispered, "It's not what you think." Samantha stepped back, shaking her head. "No, Ethan. It's exactly what I think. She's manipulating you. Controlling you. I can see it all over your face. And you," her voice cracked, "you're letting her." The next day, I stormed into Seraphine's mansion, shaking with fear and guilt. "She knows," I blurted before she could even greet me. "Samantha knows everything." Seraphine didn't flinch. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat with unshakable calm. "Then let her know." I stared at her. "You don't understand, she'll leave me." Her lips curved into a cruel, almost pitying smile. "Then let her leave. Ethan was always disposable. ALLLLLLL is not." I felt the ground tilt beneath me. "I can't just throw her away." "You already have," Seraphine said softly, her voice a blade sliding between ribs. "Every time you step into a dress, every time you let me shape you, every time you answered to ALLLLLL instead of Ethan, you chose. You think Samantha wants the real you? She wants the illusion of a boy you never were." Her words dug into me, feeding the part of me that had always felt wrong in Ethan's skin. Later that night, Seraphine summoned me to the Red Room, a velvet-draped chamber she had forbidden me from entering until now. Inside, the walls gleamed with mirrors, gowns hung like trophies, and in the center sat a vanity lit by golden bulbs. On the table rested a jewelry box. Inside lay a necklace with a teardrop sapphire. "Put it on," she commanded. I hesitated. "Why?" "Because tonight," she said, her eyes glittering, "you decide. If you wear this, ALLLLLL lives, and Ethan is gone. Forever." I stared at the necklace, my pulse hammering. Part of me wanted to throw it at the floor and run back to Samantha, beg her forgiveness, reclaim my old life. But another part, a darker, hungrier part, longed to fasten it around my throat and never take it off. My hands shook as I reached for it. Before I could clasp the necklace, my phone buzzed. A text from Samantha. "I'm outside. Please. I don't care what you're wearing. Just come out. Talk to me." I froze, staring at the message, my reflection fractured in the mirror. Behind me, Seraphine's eyes narrowed. "Delete it," she ordered. I looked down at the necklace, then at the phone glowing in my hand. 2 lives. 2 identities. 2 choices. And only one could survive. The sapphire necklace trembled in my hands, catching the glow of the vanity lights. Behind me, Seraphine's reflection loomed, elegant, predatory, patient. "Delete it," she repeated, her voice silk-wrapped steel. But my phone buzzed again. "I love you. Just come outside. Please, Ethan. Please." My chest tightened. The word love sliced through the fog Seraphine had built around me. Samantha wasn't offering power or money, she was offering something Seraphine never could. I need to see her, I whispered. Seraphine's smile dropped. Her eyes turned sharp as glass. If you walk out that door, Ethan, you will never come back. Her words weren't a threat, they were a sentence. I bolted before she could stop me. Heels clattering against marble, dress swishing around my legs, breath tearing out of my chest. The front doors flew open, and the night air hit me like freedom. There she was, Samantha. Standing in the rain, soaked to the bone, mascara streaked down her cheeks. The moment she saw me, her hand flew to her mouth. It wasn't Ethan she was looking at. It was ALLLLLLLL. We froze, staring at each other across the storm. Finally, she whispered, "It is you." I shivered under her gaze, wanting to shrink into myself and vanish. "Sam, I never meant for you to." She shook her head. "I don't care about the dresses. I don't care about the makeup. I care that you've been lying. That you've been letting her own you." Her words cracked something deep inside me. The doors slammed open behind me. Seraphine stepped into the rain, untouched by the storm, her presence towering even without raising her voice. "Go home, little girl," she said to Samantha. "You're trespassing." Samantha squared her shoulders. "No. I'm taking him back." Seraphine laughed, low and cruel. "Him? Look at her. Do you see a boy standing beside you? Or do you see ALLLLLLL, my daughter?" The name rolled off her tongue like a verdict. And the terrifying part? A part of me wanted to answer to it. Samantha grabbed my hand, her grip fierce and shaking. "Ethan. Choose. Right now. Me or her."